Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Habib Ali and I am an ICT tutor by profession. Welcome back to another lesson. So in today's lesson we are going to be learning about how to use the SUMIFS function to add up the revenue by using the criteria from multiple columns. Okay, so in today's lesson, I'm using the file called revenue from courses, lesson 58. You can find a copy of this exact same file by clicking on the link in the description box I'm going to leave for you. And this will take you to my website and you can download this file so you can work along with myself in this lesson. Now, in today's lesson, we are using the SUMIFS function. So there's an S at the end in comparison to the last lesson, lesson number 57, where we used the SUMIF function, which had no S. Now, the best way to compare the two or remember the difference between the two is if you think of the S as a plural, meaning you can do more than one particular thing using the SUMIFS function. So that's just a little note for you to make so you know the difference between the two. Now, before we head over to the question, I just want to tell you a little bit about this SUMIFS function. It is fairly new in comparison to the SUMIF function, which has been around for many years. However, the SUMIFS function was introduced in 2007 Excel version and onwards. It is a great function. It can allow us to calculate or use multiple criteria in different ranges or columns, which you will understand and identify from today's lesson. Okay, so I'm going to be using this simple spreadsheet, which basically is showing the revenue made for different courses that was delivered in different locations and how much revenue was made. So let's head over to the question and see what the question is for today. It is asking us to calculate the revenue made from the following courses by applying different criteria using the SUMIFS function. Spreadsheets that was delivered for level 1 only. We need to know what the revenue was made for this. And then word processing level 3 that was delivered in the Blackpool location. We want to know how much revenue was made by using these 3 criteria. And the third question is all the database level 2 courses that the revenue was made that was more than 2,000. So that'll be an interesting question to answer. So let's go ahead and make a start. Okay, so we'll have a look at the first question, spreadsheets and all the level 2 for spreadsheets. How much revenue was made for these for spreadsheets level 2? So I am going to show you and demonstrate to you the 2 methods. Manually, I'll type in one of them and then we'll use the insert function button like we have done so in the previous lessons just to speed things up for you. But I do recommend initially when you are learning a certain skill that you do type in the entire function. It is better for your learning, for your understanding as well. I have also left a copy of this picture. If you remember from the previous lesson, a keyboard shortcut which I introduced to you in lesson 57, where you hold down the Control Shift and click on the down arrow, and this will highlight an entire range for you all the way down till it comes to a blank cell. Please do remember that particular tip I gave you in the last lesson. Okay, so let's make a start. We start with equals and we type in SUMIFS. Don't forget the S though, please, otherwise this will not work. We then open the brackets. Now this time Excel is asking us to highlight or select the sum range. If you remember from lesson 57, the sum range selection was right at the end. So this is something new as well as part of this SUMIFS function, where Microsoft, when they were creating this function, they had to put this sum range at the beginning, otherwise it would not work. So in this calculation, we know the sum range for us is the revenue column, because this is where we are adding the different values to work out the answer to these questions. So the sum range is going to be the revenue. So I'm going to just click and drag and highlight. You can use the keyboard shortcut, or you can just type in the cell range, however you wish now. After that, we put a comma. Then after the comma, it's asking us, okay, what's the criteria range number 1? Then it will go to range number 2, range number 3, and so on. So in this manner, you could actually include as many ranges or as many columns as you wanted. I believe in this, when they created this function, it can include up to around 29 different criterias or 29 different columns. So you can imagine how deep this function is and how much of a deep calculation it can actually do for us by refining it as much as we need. But 29 is a big amount. I don't think anybody would actually need 29 criterias to be used. But you never know. It is there as a backup if you do ever need it. Most likely, if you work for great big businesses or companies, multinational companies, you may need to use 29 criteria to do such calculations. Anyway, that was just a little bit of background for you for the SUMIFS. Coming back to our calculation, so we've got the range, the sum range. Now it's asking us for the criteria range. Now looking at our question, the first criteria is spreadsheets, so therefore the range is going to be the product range. So we just need to highlight this range here. So I'm just going to click on the top one, hold down Control Shift, click on the down arrow just to select this entire range. Once we've got the range in, we put a comma again. Then it's asking us, okay, in this range, what is the criteria that you want to add up? Well, the criteria for us is spreadsheets. So in double quotation, we are going to type in spreadsheets. And again, please do make sure you get the spelling correct, otherwise it will not work. You won't get any answers. So spreadsheets, that looks good to me. Once you have done that, you put the comma. Then it moves the criteria range number 2. So if you look at our question here, for the first question, there is only 2 criteria, and the second criteria, it wants all the level 2 spreadsheets. So the level is in this column here. So all I have to do is first of all highlight this entire range and then put a comma. Then after the comma, it's asking us, okay, what's the criteria in this range? Now Excel does call it range 2, then criteria 2, and so on. So the criteria in this range is a level 2. So again, in double quotation, I'm going to type in level 2. Now there is a space, so make sure you put in the space, otherwise it won't work. So close the quotation, and then we don't need any more criteria for this question. So all I have to do now is close the bracket and press enter, and let's see what we get. So we've got 4,480. I will use the filters at the end to confirm that these answers are correct, just like I have done in some of the past lessons. It just gives you a bit more confidence that whatever you have just applied, it is actually working or giving you the right answer as it should. So therefore, we will use these filters later on and confirm our answer. Okay, moving on to the next question. Now the next question, you can see it's got 3 criterias, and each criteria, it does exist in 3 different columns. So let's see how this one pans out. So we start now. I'm not going to type this one in, by the way, so I'm going to use the insert function button just to speed things up, because there is 3 different criteria in this question. So remember, the insert function button is available under the formula tab on the ribbon just down here, or you can simply use the insert function button just here, which is a lot quicker, next to your formula bar. So I'm going to do that. So click on insert function. There we are. It gives me the insert function window. Now if you don't have SUMIFS on the list, you simply type in SUMIFS here, click on OK, and Excel will give it to you. But I've got it on my list, so I don't need to do that. So I'm just going to click on it and click OK, and then it's giving me the function arguments window. So the first box I need to fill in is the sum range, just like we did when we manually have typed in the previous question. So the sum range, we know now it is the revenue where we are adding up the actual values. So I need to select this range here. Once I have done that, it's asking for the criteria range 1. Now looking at the question, the first criteria is word processing. Now, word processing is available in this column under the product title. So all we have to do is simply select this range. Then it's asking for, oops, I've done it in the wrong one. So I didn't click out of the sum range. So let me get my sum range back. Otherwise, this will not work. Once you have done that, you have to click in the second one, which I didn't do. Now, this is our criteria range. Once you've got the criteria range in place, it's asking for the criteria, just like we did before, manually typing in the entire thing. Now, the criteria 1 is this time word processing. Now, when you are using the insert function button, please remember inside the boxes, you don't have to type in the quotation. Excel will give it to you automatically. So that's a bit of a time saver compared to when you were typing it in manually. So I'm just going to type in word processing, just making sure that I spell it correctly. There we are, word processing, looking good. Once you have done the criteria range 1 and criteria 1, we then move on to the criteria range 2. Now the second part is asking for, this question is a level 3. So all the word processing courses in level 3. So the range is this time this one here, the level, under the level title. I simply highlight the entire range. Once I have done that, I need to click inside the criteria 2 box, and I am looking for all the level 3. So I simply type in level 3 in this box. Now you have got a scroll bar here which you can scroll down, and it will show you as many criteria ranges as required, or you can simply press the tab key on the keyboard to move to the next box. Now the third criteria range is Blackpool. So Blackpool is under the location column. So I have to highlight this range here. Once I have done that, it's then asking for the criteria inside this range. Now in our question, it's asking for Blackpool. So all I have to do in there is type in Blackpool. Blackpool. And again, don't worry about the quotation when you're using the insert function button. Excel will do it for you automatically the minute you click out of the box. Okay, once we have done that, we have actually finished, because this is the third criteria and there is only 3 criteria for this question. So all you have to do is click on OK, and Excel will give you the answer. However, you can see in the formula bar here what Excel has been building for you as you have been typing in the information required in these boxes. So SUMIFS, the sum range G2 to G16, which is this here. Then you've got the first criteria range, which is A to A16, which is for the product, this one here. Then you're asking Excel, okay, I want to find all the word processing courses. Then the second criteria range is B2 to B16, which is the level. This is the range, and you're asking Excel to find all the level 3 courses in this range. And then finally, the third criteria range is D2 to D16, which is the location, and you're asking Excel to find all the Blackpool locations where all the word processing level 3 courses were delivered, and you want to know how much revenue was made. So if we click on OK, we should get our answer. There we are. So we've got 4,225. Again, we will confirm these answers using the filter buttons towards the end. Okay, so moving on to the next question, the third question. Again, I'm going to use the insert function button simply because it's a little bit quicker. But please make sure you've understood everything, and while you're typing the whole thing in, once you're feeling confident, feel free to use this insert function button. Otherwise, I do recommend you typing in the whole thing. So I'm going to use the insert function, like I said. And remember, I've got SUMIFS. If you haven't, you need to type it in, then Excel will give it to you. Click on SUMIFS and click OK. I've got my function argument window open. So the first thing we need is the sum range. Please remember, the SUMIFS does ask for the sum range first in comparison to the SUMIF. So I'm just going to highlight the sum range down over there. And then criteria 1. Now looking at this question, we've got a database. So database is in this column. So all I have to do is highlight this range. Then the criteria inside this range, so it's database. So I'm going to type in database. I don't need the quotation, remember. Excel will give it to us automatically. And then the criteria range 2, so it's level 2. So level 2 is in this column under the label level. So all I have to do is highlight this range. Once I have done that, it's asking for the criteria number 2. Criteria number 2 is level 2, so I simply type in level 2. I can press the tab key now. It will take me to the next one. There we are, criteria range 3. Now the criteria range 3, now we've got to have a little chat about this one for our understanding. Now you can see the criteria is asking us for all the revenue that was made more than £2,000 for us to add up. So all the database level 2 courses that made a revenue of more than £2,000, we want to work out the sum value of. So that's what this last criteria is. Little bit different from the rest. I have picked this one on purpose just to show you that you can use different operators as well within the criteria. There are comparison operators. So this particular one is the more than symbol, which represents basically more than. So in this criteria range, this time is going to be the revenue. Now the revenue is the same as the sum range, so which is absolutely fine, by the way, just in case you're wondering that you may not be allowed to use the criteria or the range to be the same as the sum range. So the sum range and the criteria range could be used in one SUMIFS calculation. It is totally allowed, no problem at all. So we have understood that this is the revenue that is more than 2,000 values does exist in this column. So we need to highlight this range, even though it's the same as the sum range. We have to, because this is where we are taking this value more than 2,000 from. Okay, I hope you've understood that. If not, do leave me any further questions in the comment sections, and I will get back to you with further clarification. Anyway, coming back to this, once you've got the range in, you can press the tab key. it will take you to the next box. Now in the next box, we want to type in this value here, including the more than operator. So more than 2000. So what we're saying to Excel is give us all the courses, all the database level 2 courses for which we made more than £2,000. We only want to add these up or them up. We don't want anything less than 2000. Okay, so once we have done that, if I click on OK, we get the answer 5,600. Okay, I am going to now use the filter buttons like I said to you just to confirm these answers. The first one straightforward, spreadsheets level 2, we made 4,480, please remember. So I'm just going to filter the product first of all, deselect all of them, select spreadsheets, click OK, and then select all the level 1. You can see we've got different levels, level 1, 2 and 3. We don't want all of them, we just want level 2. So deselect all of them, click on level 2, click OK. And if I just select these two now, the revenue, you can see in the status bar, Excel is telling us that we have, or the sum of these two cells is 4,480. So that tallies up, we're happy with that. I'm just going to take the filters off from this one as well. And looking at the second one, this time is word processing level 3 and Blackpool. So we made 4,225. So word processing level 3 and Blackpool. So word processing, deselect all of them, select word processing, click on OK, level 3. So again, just deselect level 1 because there's only two of them, click OK, and all the courses that was delivered in Blackpool, you can see there is one Leeds, we don't really need that. Well, you know what, I can simply do this now really. You can just select these three and you can see Excel is telling us we made 4,225. So that one tallies up as well, we're happy with that. Just going to remove the filters and quickly do the third one for you because it's slightly different. So it's tallies up to 5,600 for the third question. So all the database courses level 2 for which we made more than 2,000 revenue. Let's have a look. So database, we need, click on OK, and then all the level 2. Well, they're all actually level 2. We can see from here there isn't any other level. Now if we just have a look at these two values instead of doing any more filters, because there's only 3, we can simply select this one because it's more than 2,000. We can select this one which is more than 2,000. We don't need to select this one because we haven't, well it's less than 2,000. But by selecting this cell and this cell in the status bar, Excel is telling us the sum value is 5,600, and that's how much we got as well. So if I clear this filter now, you can see we've got 5,600. So that was a good confirmation, and I do recommend you doing this as well initially just to be confident, self-confidence really, and to be sure that your answers are working out correctly. And this brings us to the end of today's lesson. So I hope it's been beneficial for you and you've enjoyed this lesson thoroughly. If you have, please don't forget to like and share this lesson and subscribe to our channel if you have not done so. And I shall see you over in the next lesson. So until then, please do look after yourself. Take care and goodbye.